Yeah, you can start now. It's already 3:30. There's enough people in here, so we're good. Everybody hear me fine? Everybody can see the screen. Again, if the screen stops, somebody please let me know. You guys definitely unmute it and just let me know. All right, so basically, kind of just what I want to talk about, right in the beginning, is is kind of just looking at the market. I look at the futures. This is the first thing that I go to whenever I start any of my routine, and just kind of run down everything that we just went through the past week. Okay, so because I'm looking at the weekly chart, I want to do like a little recap, with my own studying, with my own breakdowns, with my own research, basically as to what happened throughout the week. And by this I mean not going on Twitter and figuring out what happened, or not going on Instagram and looking at other people's profits as to like how they did. Okay, I'm not looking at any of that stuff. I want to look at the charts and see what the charts told me that happened. I'm looking at the economic calendar, the things that already happened, like Jerome Powell, the president, things like that. I want to know exactly what happened. So by me doing that, I do have the Forex calendar. If you guys don't have it, I recommend you guys load it up, and it gives you the details as to what's going to happen for this week coming, and also what's happened in the past. It does give you a little rundown on, let's just say you're looking at the ISM manufacturing, and it gives you the numbers there, so you can keep track of like if it's doing good, if it's doing bad. It gives you some of that stuff. You can go back and look at the oil reports, things like that. Okay, so retail sales, I mean, all types of things. Okay, but again, that depends on how deep in depth you're going to go as you're the one trading. Okay, because first and foremost, before you take any trade, you do have to have your own research. You do have to have an understanding of what's going on versus trying to get spoon fed. And being spoon fed, automatically some of those people who do that are buying GME, are buying AMC, and thinking that that's a trade that made sense, when in reality these are pumps happening. So there is really no technical analysis on that. It's just a bunch of retail crews coming in and trying to take over, those hedge funds. And I get it, it's cool. Do I agree with it? By no means. Okay, can you still make money off of it? For sure. Okay, I'm not taking anything away from that. It just has to be something that makes sense and something that you understand. Therefore, use these times to look at the charts and let the charts match what you're getting yourself into. Let the charts match what you understand as a trader, and the things that are going on with the economy, and with the new president coming in, the new bills that are being signed. So a little bit of everything. Okay, so you got to have some fundamentals and some TA. Okay, I'm not saying have some tweets and Instagrams and TA combined together, because that's not good. Okay, so hopefully you guys understand that. So just looking at the ES, currently something that's been going on is, we're basically super high, and we're getting a lot of YouTubers that are saying the economy is bad. Well, tell me something that I don't know. Okay, this economy's been bad for quite some time since COVID. A lot of the numbers have been hitting through this specific chart, and if you ask me, this chart still looks bullish. Okay, there's nothing bearish about it for me. There's nothing that tells me that we're gonna come crashing down. I'm looking at a weekly chart, weekly time frame. Mind you, we just started this brand new candle here, so that's where we're currently at, and it looks like we have this massive bullish candle here. But I mean, look at this chart. Look where we're at. Everything still looks okay. So I personally don't think there's anything to panic about, because I will show you a couple charts, and we're gonna see what the charts tell us. Okay, so that's why always go back on the weekly. Look at some of your homework. Look at some fundamentals. Okay, don't go off looking at tweets, Instagrams, Snapchats, Facebooks, other Discord servers that are saying that the world's gonna come crashing down. Okay, so you always want to just come look at the weekly time frames and see what happened. So so I'm gonna go on the 4 hour chart and just kind of talk about ES. Okay, so just like I said, that I want to know exactly what happened and why we broke some of these levels. Um, my biggest thing when I run through my mentorship, I always ask my guys is how did we get to the point where we are at now? Okay, and this goes for any time frame. If you're looking at the 5 minute, like how did we get up so high within this time frame? Okay, within the 4 hour time frame, how did we get up to this point, and why did we break certain levels? Okay, that's something that you have to ask. And clearly here, you can kind of see a little supply zone there. Okay, so this is just based off the ES. And then here you have a demand zone that was created. The demand zone was created because we ended up popping to this top and created a supply zone. Now, thinking that this is a new demand zone, it literally just flushed down through here looking at 3 days. Okay, guys, so don't be blind to some of this stuff that's happening. The market makers are in control of what's happening in the markets, and they will flush through all these supply and demand zones like there's nothing, nothing stopping it, nothing keeping it up there. Is what I'm saying. So all that happened, a lot of the market makers are pretty pissed off, and the hedge funds are pissed off too. So look how the movement is happening. Okay, the volatility increased. Not only did it increase, but it flushed through, some of these major areas here. So basically, telling me that there's really no bias right now at this 3780 level, 3800 level until we get back up there and reclaim this zone, then it'll become a demand zone. Until then, it's still a supply zone. Both of these are supplies. And again, you can clearly see the huge drop, right? Basically, the manipulation that happened during that week, and it happened in 3 days, basically. And there was really no other reason why it should drop that hard. Okay, unless you guys can find me a unless you guys can find me a good reason why this actually dropped, by all means, please post it or let me know. I might be blind to something that happened, but there really is no reason for something like this to drive that much. Okay, so when it comes down to those market manipulations, this is clear what happens. Okay, so when you see a zone like this, a base, and it just flushes through, okay, this is some of your market makers coming in and dropping some stuff for you guys. Okay, at the same time, don't be blind to it. Follow the trend, follow the bigger time frames, and just remember that just because we dropped within 3 days, it doesn't mean that it has to continue with the type of volatility that it had. Okay, well, we're not open, it's not Monday yet, but it's something to keep in mind. And we're going to still keep the same levels, we're still going to keep the same zones. Okay, so let's do this real quick. I'm going to chart ES for you guys and basically, give you some levels as to how I look at it. Okay, so here's the top right here. Here's my two candles. You can kind of clearly see that there's rejection here and it broke up to the top of this right here. So I want to grab basically the meat. Okay, I just want to grab this piece right here. These are the pieces that I want to grab. And remember that the weekly time frame is it's a little wider. So the zones will have to vary whenever you guys even consider buying in any of these levels. So this one I'm gonna keep blue just for my preference. Like look how the 4 hour ended up being a zone. It's literally inside these candles, so there's really nothing. The zone is actually the supply zone comes from 3750 all the way to this 3820, 3830. That would be your full supply zone, okay? Because we're looking at the bigger time frame. That's your supply zone right there, okay? So see how different it looks now compared to the 4 hour, and all of it has to do with your time frame, your perspective. Okay, market still looks fine. I mean, it can definitely have a nice pullback, maybe just something like this, three red candles, which is cool. Wouldn't expect anything more than that, unless, like I said earlier, if you guys can show me a fundamental reason as to why we're breaking down like this and what caused it, then by all means. But again, market makers are still in control of what's happening right now. And it's just something to consider as well, that because everything that's going on with this GME thing and the AMC stuff, there's going to be a lot of uproar with other tickers that are going to try to get shorted, or I mean not shorted. People are going to try to buy again, like SLV is like the new thing, but you can't go against banks. Okay, it's plain and simple. You cannot go against big money. You can go against hedge funds that have things like AMC and HMNY or stuff like that, but you can't come against something big. Okay, let's keep that into perspective. But again, if you do not agree with that, then by all means, go ahead and go against the big banks. That's on you. If you can move the market, if you have enough money to move the market, by all means, go ahead and start buying whatever you think has value. Okay, so now that we know like this whole area is a supply zone, right? So you guys can see uh, the bounce here, the tops over here. This was your major supply zone. So we kind of retested, came down, same thing, retested, and now we're just driving down, right? So using those weekly levels, I basically uh, grabbed all this here. So now this is what I'm gonna look for. This is gonna be the bottom that I will probably be buying the dip right here. Okay, so basically what I do, because I look at my own chart, I'm going to make a yellow. Yellow is the area where I want to start buying, and you can kind of see as to why. This bottom one was the weekly level, which was your 3507. You can just say 3500 just to have um, a nice solid number there. Okay, you don't need this like 3506.48 type of number. You just want a whole number there. Just a reminder that you can start buying. If you guys have any questions, please pitch in the chat too. Okay, don't forget that that's available for you guys, because I know people are just walking in and stuff, and walking in and might be leaving out too as well. So keep that in mind. So 4 hour. Okay, here's another level for. Here's another bottom for ES. You just want to make sure you have these tops as well. This was once the all-time high. And then I want to grab the bottom of this right here. So you can kind of see here, we pushed up, rejected, bounced, and then rejected and blew through. So whenever things like this happen, it's because something happened in the market. Same thing here. There were some bounces up and down. So that's why I said the 3,500 level. You got that middle, the 3,380. And then you got this bottom of 32. You could just say 3230. Sorry, 3220. So those levels are the major levels where you should be having alerts. And so now that I have these levels, I'm really not worried about the inside levels. I want to make sure that when we touch these major levels, 37, what is this, 3715, the top 3750, and then we're going to get into 4 hour right now, but since we're down here, 3644, you can even use 3650, just kind of in that little area. You have the bottom of this, which is 3610, as low as, what is this, 3590, 3593, 94, 95, around there. Then you have the bottom of this here, which is your 3550, and then your 3500. So those levels are going to stay the same. Now, the way that I use these major levels, I always correlate, my stock. So for instance, I know somebody wanted me to check out Apple. So whenever I find major levels for Apple, something to keep in mind that this was the split that it had. I always mark the candle bodies. Okay, that's just me. I don't really look at the wicks. Okay, so just those two levels alone will make a big difference when you're trading Apple. Okay, and the reason why that is a major area, it's because that's when Apple became basically a new stock. after the split. Okay, because we all this data here was from the past levels of Apple, so you can't go back here and start saying like, oh wait, we have a bottom at 80.73. You know, just it doesn't make sense. Okay, the only time that it would make sense is if like the world has come crashing down, and next thing you know, Apple is just like, you know, coming way down here and then still uh, crashes down with the whole market and stuff. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. So these are your major levels that you should be looking at. And the reason why I look at the candle bodies, because that's the meat of the bone. You want the meat of the bone. You don't want to have, you know, all the little side stuff that just doesn't make any sense. Okay. um, Make sure you have major levels. So let's just compare with ES, right? So let's say ES comes down to this 3510 level that we talked about. This is your support right here. This was a recent breakout, so technically we still have room to basically just come down in the next few weeks, if this is a potential area for a put for some put plays, you know, a change of direction here for like the a smaller trend, because the bigger trend is still up. Let's just say it does hit this 3510, right? The way you would correlate that with Apple is your next major level is basically down here at this 120. So whenever you see those two major levels correlating together in the market, that's when you can start buying those dips and not be scared of some red candles. And that's what I'm always talking about, that you look at your weekly time frame and then you go down to your 4 hour, or some of you guys use the daily time frame. You can grab those major areas and start looking for those support buys. Okay, so use those levels, be wise about them, and you can kind of do that with any of the other futures. Same thing here with IWM. I honestly think IWM still has some room to basically crack down. And then you can kind of see it here, okay? You see we finally like based out up here. We failed here, retested, tried to build a base here, and then we couldn't go any higher, and then just failed, and then ended up dropping. So whenever you guys are looking at the market, you want to look for sentiment. Okay, you want to look for things that have a base already, retested, that broke out, retested, failed, or confirmed to stay on the uptrend, whatever the case may be. And every sector, every feature out there is going to react a little different. You can kind of see here that uh, /NQ, the tech sector did not react like IWM, right? So kind of here you had this. It didn't even have a base. It just had like a nice trend here. Okay, so you kind of had a nice trend here, and it broke down, but it did retest. It retested that recent breakout with the recent bounce, right? And there was some manipulation here in this one. Here's some more manipulation, and the reaction of this one was a little different versus IWM. See, so this is how you start looking at your futures. So the reaction of IWM versus /NQ is so much different. So the drop on something like this is a lot healthier. Okay, so hopefully this is making sense, right? So here's the drop, here's your retest, here's your lower high, right? We couldn't go any higher. And then now look what's happening. Okay, so which one is more manipulated, if you guys would have to choose, versus /NQ or the Russell, right? Each one had a different type of reaction, but look at the size of these moves. Okay, these moves were a lot heavier, and this is the tech. Okay, so this is how I'm looking at it. So tech, this is one sector that I am personally going to stay away from, seeing that we're still down here and it had more of an aggressive move, right? And the sentiment is coming from ES. ES is still going to be chilling right here. So this is the area that I'm going to be looking for this 3650, 3617, right? This is the area that I'm going to be watching, the major area. 3600 probably the lowest I would go. Other than that, I think below 3600 will start trending down. But just remember that we do need retest, right? Come down, retest for like a healthy trend. Okay, the aggressiveness of these moves again have nothing to do um, with anything specific on a fundamental basis, other than the market makers being pissed as to what exactly happened with those hedge funds losing money and Wall Street bets coming in and taking over some dumb stock like GME. So hopefully you guys catch that. So versus the Russell, this is a healthy pullback. This is a healthy trend change. Okay, just like the NQ. So how do we go look at that stuff? Okay, if you guys are interested in gold as well, look at gold. It's kind of like basing out right here too. So I'm sure you guys can check that stuff out. If you guys want to look at the VIX, I know some of you guys looking at the VIX. It already had a spike. It had a spike here. So look, this is what gets me when I see stuff like this. I want to point something out. Look, here's your one spike. Look what the next candle followed through. Okay, look at the spike here. Look at the next candle that followed through. Okay, and history repeats itself. Okay, price action repeats itself. Look at this spike here with the next follow-up candle. I'm sure you guys can answer that question. And then look at this here. You guys tell me what the next candle will be, and then you guys can post in the charts. Okay, so price action. Price action is past movement that happened already that can potentially happen again. All right, so sorry, just going through the chats real quick. Yeah, banks do buy those. Yeah, big red coming for VIX. Yeah, so that's kind of clear, right? Hopefully that makes sense for you guys right now. Unless we start building on top of this wick here, okay? If we build on top of here, then we have something incoming like this. Okay, that's what I would watch out for. Other than that, see how like nothing built over the wicks of a VIX. Yeah, this is a fear index. Okay, this is not a chart where you can draw something like this and then let's play out a little pattern. It doesn't work that way. It's a volatility index. Okay. So again, looking at I'm moving on to the financial sector. Again, I'm looking at the bigger futures, looking at the ETFs, just so I can get an understanding of what happened in the market. And as things fall, I like to look for major supports. And you guys, I mean, look where XLF is headed. The financial sector, right? It's heading into this little base that it recently had. So had a nice pump up with a nice pullback. So it's retesting some levels, and that's all you really have to do. What is it really doing? Is it really coming down? Is it really the market coming crashing down? This is exactly why I pointed out with charts. All financials is doing is pulling back, and you can go look at some of those financial stocks like JPM, right? Same thing. It's retesting a little level here. Okay. So here you have a recent breakout, retesting that level, right? Here we have C. C looks like it basically just dropped. So I think this one still probably has a little more room to drop. But again, you can draw these levels and set your alerts right here. Okay, so this one's probably behind GS. Look where GS is at. Here we go, retesting these levels. So see how we're like inside that level. So it's all about like how you're looking at your ETF, how you're looking at the sentiment, and where your stocks are going to be heading into. These stocks are heading into some major support levels. All they're doing is retesting. Okay, nothing is crashing down. I mean, the only one I'm bearish on is IWM. So look at BAC. Look at what BAC is at too. Okay. So I'm grabbing the meat of the bone in here. Okay, you can grab this top area too. I know some of you guys like to grab those wicks. You can grab the bottom down here. So you have levels here that are being tested, and this is your meat right here. That's the meat. Okay, and that's where BAC is heading into. So it starts to head into an area where we can start dip buying. And yes, financials for me um, will be on top watch. So I'm bringing back financials. You guys remember what happened when I started calling these calls on JPM and GS? We had a rocking week. We had a solid gap up. Was pretty freaking amazing. Okay, so that was XLF. So looking at financials, knowing that we're heading into some support here on the ETF, the sector, that's when I start looking at those financials, which is JPM, GSC, and BAC. Start looking for those to base out, and you can see those bases on the 4-hour time frame actually. And all I'm doing is grabbing these weekly charts because I know that when I head into my week, I want to know what's ahead and what to prepare for, where to mark those major levels, and if we break this weekly time frame on the retest, if we fail to hold here, then it just means that all the other stocks, like JPM, GSC, and BAC, will continue to come down. Okay, just kind of like I mentioned with IWM. IWM was a what was a healthy fall on the 4-hour time frame, and it probably still has room to come down a bit. But all it'll be, it'll just be a little decent pullback. Nothing to fear. Start looking for dips. All right, so I did that. I go to Jets. Jets is the airlines, and let me show you how this one looks. So again, I'm grabbing the candle bodies. That makes sense to me. Okay, you can grab the wicks if you want, and we're inside that level. Okay, the next major one would be down here using this green candle, and it's going to be right here. This 20 level, yeah, 20 level. So from 2138 down to the 20 level, that can be a potential play. So you can go look at things like BA, DAL, and AAL, and kind of see where they're at, if they're at support or if they're at resistance, if they're at a um, current retest, anything like that. That's how you would look at some of these charts. Okay, so just with that being said, oh, also Tan, sorry. Beeler has been watching solar. I am personally waiting for a base to build in order for me to start calling any of these stocks out. But the two major levels that I will be looking at are basically down here, or we just come down here, just somewhere down here. If we can get Tan to come down here and base out, even if it bases out in here and just creates a nice base up in there, then I'll be okay with that. But I'm giving solar stocks a lot more time. I know Bueller's real big on these, so he's calling these things out like it's the thing to do, and he's making a lot of bank basically off, just the solar. I do have those here, so oops, where's my solar? This oh here you go, JKS. So see, like JKS has a nice base here. You can literally just see the top and bottom of this. Here we go. Here we go. That's your top. That's your bottom. Here's your demand. If it comes down here, buy it. If it comes up here, sell it. If it breaks out, then buy some more. CSIQ. See how this one has a base. So here's your breakout. That's your breakout level, and then your base is down here. So those are your major levels, and then, geez, I'm glad I saw this. There's your trend. So technically, we're at support on CSIQ, and you can play that using the 4-hour time frame, smaller time frames, and just ride it all the way back up. I would say look for 55 to 60 just to get that whole number in there, because there's really no structure up here. So whenever there's no structure, I don't look at any plays up here. I wait for something like this, a trend, a range break, a support or resistance, anything of that nature. But yeah, that's kind of like what I do when I come look and try to understand what's happening in the market. Everything that happened in the market was chaotic and has been chaotic. Okay, we still have all night for futures to react based off the 4 hour. Where it's what I think is going to happen now is that we're not going to see spikes like this. Okay, I don't expect to see crazy movement in the next week, just because there's a lot of like social media hype, and there can be lawsuits starting to open up. So because of that reason, I think market makers will take control more of the markets this time and have it like a healthy trend. So make it look like a healthy trend versus a volatile market like this that was literally manipulated. Because you can go back and see something like this, the manipulation is literally right there, and that kind of sucks because a lot of people lose money in the market. um, but again, the market makers take advantage and they get in at those lows, they get in at those tops, and they screw every retail trader over. And then the swing trades, you wake up with basically no money. So I don't think there's going to be tons of volatility like this. So like I said, I just showed you guys the VIX, right? And then the next candle is going to be red. All right, so I'm already prepared myself mentally what's going to happen into the next week. So I do want to mention a couple stocks, okay, that had my attention. And again, looking at the weekly time frame, these are going to be the top ones that I look for the upcoming week. Again, I am not touching the FANG stocks, but I am a little bearish on the IWM. So if you guys saw that hedge post that I made, I chose IWM because I saw that IWM had more value of coming down versus ES or NQ. So I took the safer play versus the hype play. And while everybody's trying to get in short, what do you guys think that the market makers are going to do? Okay, it's a simple question that you guys can answer. So one of my top ones, while everybody's busy trying to buy GME and AMC and trying to short the full market, look at VZ. Okay, I'll show you guys something. This is the level on the weekly time frame where it's gonna start getting bought up. Okay, and just like I said, while everybody's busy saying that the world's gonna come down, we're gonna come crashing down, and we need a correction and all this stuff, I'm gonna be looking for dip buys, guys. Straight up. I'll keep it real with you guys. Um, some of these stocks look like good dip buys for long term. You guys can start looking into buying shares, things like that. So it's not out of the question. Look to buy some spreads. I know people here do spreads. Start looking at some of that stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity out there, okay? And I'm gonna take advantage of some of these dip buys where I think a lot of the investors are gonna try to come in and get these alerts, and they're gonna start buying these. All right, so VZ, it's in this zone, so 54, anywhere between 54 and 55 are gonna be my entries for long positions, and I'm just gonna trail these on the 4 hour time frame. So here, basically on the 4 hour time frame, I'm gonna grab the bottom because we're gonna be testing from the bottom to the top. So here we go. This is like I said, so anywhere between 54 and 55, I want to start buying down here, and I want to trail it go up. 55.50, 56. Ultimately, I want to see the retest of 56.50. We'll do 56.50. This is going to be my target for the week. Okay. So if you guys do get into something like this, what I would be looking at is the 12. The contracts are not bad. Look at this in the money 55. It's only 0.63 to 0.98. I'm sure that'll adjust. So try to get a good fill. So this is going to be one of my top dip buying plays for the week coming. The other one that I like is Pepsi. Any Pepsi fans in here, or there's a lot of Coca-Cola fans up in here? I know some of you guys like Pepsi. There you go. I see somebody typing. There you go. Where's my Pepsi fans at? Okay. Okay. You don't gotta like the Pepsi, right? But you gotta like the money that Pepsi can provide for you, right? It's gotta make sense. Okay. All right. So look at this level. Okay. Where are we at? Here we are. All right. That little level that I just drew. You say water is great. Yeah, water is great. H2O. Drink Pepsi while you go to Costco. Makes sense. Hey, but if Pepsi can provide some financials for you guys, then you can go to Costco. All right. This is as low as want to buy it. Okay. Right here at this level. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this yellow. This is why I like weekly charts because the weekly charts give you everything. Like, um, they give you some good perspective and uh, they give you like the mindset of an investor because the investor is the one that's grabbing those longer time frames. They're the ones that are chilling at home, buying shares, chilling in their yachts, while every retail trader's out there trying to trade the smaller time frames and trying to make a buck or two. So this is why I like these time frames because, like I said, some of these levels that I just marked, I'm giving you guys and I'm showing you why I marked them. Okay. So the trade has to make sense, of course. It does have earnings coming up soon on 211, but we have all week. We have all week to trade this. We have all week to let it come down into this level here, and this is the lowest I will let it go to this 134.50. Okay, so you can kind of see the resistance here, the support bounce here, the resistance here, and how we stayed on top. Okay, this was the top, and then this was basically the whole meat of everything that's happening with Pepsi. Now, Pepsi is not a stock that's going to, start driving and move $5 or $10, things like that. But it is a stock that you can buy and just kind of chill on a swing with it and not have to worry as much. Okay, I mean, of course, you got to manage, but it's going to be a stress-free managing position. Basically, is what I'm saying. And those are the type of plays I like. So, like I said, if it wants to drop a little more with the market, I'm assuming we'll probably wake up on the gap down unless the markets recover. Then I'm gonna start looking for a dip buy down here. Like I said, 134.50 would be the lowest. My confirmation to go long would be this 137.50. You can definitely buy it anywhere down here, and you got to make sure you get time as well. So I know the contracts will probably change on IV. The 34% is pretty decent, um, and they have the earnings on the 11th, but they're not bad. They're only like 270 to 320. The spreads will adjust in the morning, so grabbing the in the money would probably make a little more sense for some of these plays. And like I said, it's had a nice drop already. And all we're trying to get is we're trying to get this little dip buy down here. A little dip buy, to get like a little short rally that does something like this. Okay. So that's one on my list. The other one is KO if you guys want to check it out as well, since we're talking about Pepsi. This has a base. You guys can kind of see it. The little support here, right? Is the next buying support is basically like this whole area, all the way to 4730s, 4740 around there. All right, so this is the next buying area for KO. This is actually a great opportunity for you guys to actually buy some shares. I think Navi. Yeah, I think Navi buys shares, right? Navi, if I'm not mistaken. I see you type in the chat. He likes to buy shares. Uh, he stays buying KR, which is a pretty solid stock. But this is also reaching weekly level support. So we're reaching some buying levels here. Okay. So all this here, reaching the support level. Usually, usually stocks you see them run up into ER, while others, come down into ER, and then during ER they pump up, or during ER they drop down. But again, earnings is like 100% gamble. There's nothing that can guarantee a up or down move. Just like Tesla this week, everybody was expecting a bullish play. Unfortunately, it actually came down. Yeah, there you go. See, Navi, uh, thank me for KO later. You can buy some shares on this thing. It's actually real good. But yeah, I'm looking for some dip buys on this for KO. It'll be a little riskier since it does have earnings coming soon, but it still can be a potential long play. With the market, of course, being green, some sentiment being in there, some decent movements versus the volatility movement. Okay, if there is a lot of volatility movement, like the past few days, past 3 days of market open, then I don't think I will be grabbing any swings. I'll probably be just grabbing some day trades. Um, Nvidia is the other one that I would love to keep track of. Okay, now something that I just talked to you guys about, man. I know so some of the guys in my mentorship, we started reading this book called Charting. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of that book. It's actually a great book, and we're reading it because we want to grow. We read it because it's all about just learning and even doing recaps on things that you think you already know, that can potentially just add more value into your knowledge. And while you're, hey, what's up, Mithan? So we're reading this book, Charting. It's pretty cool, and it's something that you also got to take into consideration is what's happening here. Okay, we have a public participation, and then we have a distribution phase. So we can either run up real hard after we break this range, this 555, 550, 555 area, or we come crashing down after this 507. It's it's very simple. So make sure you guys keep those alerts there. And I think what's gonna suck is that it may happen for earnings on 224. So here's another thing too, just to keep in mind as well. So this market just had some aggressive moves, okay, and the awesome part is that when these things do happen, make sure you guys are looking for those stocks that held, are holding their patterns, are holding their retest levels, are holding supports, or if they failed, look at those and how the characteristics are of a stock. And Nvidia is a perfect example, a prime example of it not being affected, even with the market coming crashing down that bad. Okay, some of you guys were like super bearish, saying that we need a correction, and yes, I do agree that we need a pullback, and that potentially can be the only pullback we ever see. Who knows? But again, looking at Nvidia on the weekly time frame, you see the demand and the supply level working hand in hand. While the market's doing its thing, everybody's ignoring the fact that Nvidia is at a major support level. Okay, so keep these alerts, because when Nvidia breaks out, it's going to break out. The awesome part about it is that AMD. All right, what's up on my computer? All right. The awesome part about AMD is that AMD did crack down while everything was coming down, but even in AMD is hitting a support level. Okay, we're at that support level. All right, there we are. I don't know what I was doing here, but it did leave that supply zone, and it came down to retest a level, while Nvidia is holding on strong to this range still. Okay, so keep that in mind, that whenever there's volatility in the market, and yet you see something hold its major support, um, it's very important to keep those alerts, like multiple. Don't miss out on any type of those plays. So Nvidia, I do have alerts for it. The levels basically down here at the bottom. I want to start buying this thing maybe at like 510, 515 area. Even though the trend is still down, even though it did get smacked down here. So you guys can kind of see that the volatility kicked into Nvidia while the market was, having its up and downs, and Nvidia still held like a champ. It's still up here. It pushed up while the market was coming down, and it came down, but it didn't come up. It didn't come down with aggressive selling pressure towards Nvidia, the stock itself. The value of it still held on the bigger time frames, and everything about it is still awesome. And like I said, this thing can stay range basically all the way to earnings, and on earnings we get some type of direction. So that's basically what's going to happen with that. So that would be Nvidia. That's the one that's on my next list. V is the other one that I had. Some of you guys probably think that this is like super bearish. Well, I'm looking at this like it's gold. Okay. Oh, so they're adding crypto. Thank you, Navi. Oh, buyback as well. And see, that's awesome. That's why I love like having streams like this, because whenever we get together as a team and point out some major stocks that like fell, V. I mean, if you look at it, like it looks bearish to a lot of people, but like in reality, that thing looks like a solid dip buy. Start buying when stocks like this go down, because they do have a lot of value. And if you guys are saying that it did have news that crypto's coming in and they're having buybacks as well after earnings, uh, I don't like. I don't really like calling out stocks the week of earnings. I like calling them out after earnings. That's kind of just what I do. But even here, you can kind of see that we're at a support, and this is where the buyers had stepped in on this side. Just on that wick alone, that's where we're at. So this is this is very very easy to trade. All right, if you guys come in here and tell me that this is not easy to trade, I'm going to lose my mind. Your entry point, look at this 193. Okay, that's your entry. If we stay above, we're going long. If we stay below, we're going down. All right, is that easy? All right, target down here, target up here. You see, based off this range, the price action before, and based on the fact that we're at like that 50% retrace and 50% of this range, that's how you got to look at Nvidia as well. Use that 50%. When we go up, we're going up. When we come down, we're coming down. All right, is that simple, guys? Oh, thank you for that news. Yeah, see, so now that we're looking at this chart and we have some fundamentals to back it up, just like I said earlier, if you guys have some fundamentals as to why the market rocked that much and dropped down, then by all means show me the fundamentals and show me the chart. Okay, the volatility was because of the hedge funds and the market makers coming in and market manipulation and the volatility increasing fear index. So a lot of people entered a lot of bearish positions over the weekend. Guess what's going to happen to those people? Okay, so now that we're looking at V, it's very clear. Above 193, let's go long, take it all the way to this 200 level. Below the 193, let's take it short down to the 186. But I would call these dip buys down here. Start buying. Some of you guys that can buy shares, buy shares down here. Like this is a great price for V. Um, in my opinion, I mean, unless we start dropping like crazy, then we're just gonna take it short. But it looks like a solid play on the weekly time frame. Let's look at the 4 hour. All right, let's get rid of this. That's kind of an easy trade if you guys ask me. So target the 200, right, for the top side, and the target is 180. You can just do 187. So remember these levels, guys. Uh, don't rely on me for reminding you of levels. I will set my alerts. Right, I'm gonna start setting my alerts now, so you guys can see that um, I'm already gonna be able to trail it. So the minute that I'm in it, I'm already trailing my position, and I don't have to set alerts throughout the day because they're already set. Okay. Um, and all I'm doing is just grabbing like some of those wicks and some of those candle bodies from the 4 hour time frame, and then grabbing some of the whole numbers that just make sense. So I am on the bullish side of V. Okay, and like I said, don't take nothing away from the downside. You guys can go ahead and trade puts, but I will not trade puts against a nice range that's actually built down here. But I am kind of bullish on V, even with the market coming down. Like, let it come down, I'll still be bullish. Yeah, you can follow that trend line. Thank you, Mithan. If you guys look at that 4 hour, Mithan just drew a trend line. If we break that too, you keep pushing up. But I'll be trading the range, and I'll be in probably before any type of confirmation. As long as we're over 193, I'll be bullish. Below 193, I'm a little bearish down to the bottom. It's kind of that simple for the type of trades that I take. So that would be V. The other one that I like as well, MA. So we're kind of looking at the same sector, okay? This one almost looks like a different type of scenario, though, okay? Uh, here's your here's your demand. The top range is basically up here, okay? So you guys see this? So how we had this range up top, and then we finally broke down to the bottom, but then we're down here. We're down here kind of just retesting this little level, this breakout level. So if we can get like a nice retest to the top, I think MA can potentially start moving with B as well. Because usually when some of these stocks in the same sector, start moving, you're welcome, man. Uh, Usually, when these start moving, the other will end up catching up because what would happen is I don't know if MA is doing crypto or not. Okay, but we just got some fundamental news for V, which is real good news, and we got some buybacks for V. So knowing that we have some good news for V, a lot of people will want to enter MA. So because people wanting to enter that one as well, they're gonna get some they're gonna get some attention. Okay, and not only is it gonna get some attention, but look where we're at. We're at the support retesting from the top, but we also broke down a supply zone up here. I would like MA over 326. Okay, but anything below this 312, I do not want to touch it. I'm gonna be a little more careful with MA because it does move a little different. But it's the same setup as V. So if you guys saw that trend line that Mythin posted on V, MA is kind of like on the same boat. Okay. I don't know. I think the earnings was good, but then we ended up dropping back down, and we're kind of right here at the support right now. So below 312, I'm bearish. Above 312, I'm bullish until probably end up squeezing in here, and then we either pop up or down. Yeah, I think V is a real good one. So those are going to be my main watches for the week, guys. I literally gave you tons of stocks that are at like great dip buys. It just broke down some perspective for the market. Looking at IWM as well, I'm still a little bearish on IWM. Okay, we still have one night. We still have levels to follow. The the retest levels still we still got to respect them, and still wait for like the some of the news coming out during the week. Things like that, developing news for GME and AMC and those hedge funds and things like that. But look at ES, just to show you, it literally just came down and it's being bought up already again. So, like I said earlier in the beginning, I don't think the volatility is going to be like this because of any social media type hype or any lawsuits that are going to come up. So I think they're going to be controlled. I think the movement's going to be controlled for the week, and market makers are going to be all over some of these stocks, so it doesn't look like they're market manipulating things. But at the same time, start looking for those great dip buys. Have the eye of the investor versus the eye of the day trader. Have the perspective to start buying at the very lows and let things go up. Buy some time with those option contracts. Buy some shares for the long term. Start looking at things like that. Okay, because I don't think this GME thing is the reason why the market would crash. Okay, so hopefully that kind of helps you guys. Hopefully the breakdown in the beginning helped you guys understand like how I look at the market, how I come down and do the homework, exactly how I look at the futures, and not Twitter or Snap or Facebook, social media, Instagram stuff, but actually look at charts and understand what's happening versus the hype, out there. Again, the warning: stay away from that hype. Stay away from any earning plays. But again, if you can make something out of it, make something out of it. Don't get rocked. Okay, show that you can understand what's happening and come out with some profits versus coming out with a red P&L. Okay, that's how you will know that you understand something going on, versus trying to follow a hype and holding on for dear life, hoping that it goes to 1,000. If you guys want me to check out any charts for you guys, let me know. I can literally give you weekly levels right now. I'm on the live voice chat, by the way. DKNG. You know what? I've been trying to trade DKNG, man, and honestly, the level that I wanted over is build over these wicks. This is literally what I want. This 55.50 and this 57. If we can get DKNG over these levels, I'll be bullish and take it up all the way to the 61. That's all I'm waiting for, man. I've been wanting to trade this. You can ask Nick. I've been waiting to trade that specific level. Okay, so for me, my entry for long, 55.50. Right, you can start taking a position at 54 if you like, with your stop loss at like 52. If you want to take that risky trade, but I am not looking at this stock until I hit the alert of 55.50. I'm gonna keep it that simple, man. It's struggling over that point. Yeah, if DKNG got some news, man, it might bring it up into that level, but just keep eye of that on this specific weekly level, because the weekly level has more of an effect than the news. Cool, Apex. That's some cool stuff, man. Hopefully, it can just light up some more stuff up in there. Amazon. You guys are all been looking at Amazon now. Something about earnings that I just mentioned is whenever I look at a stock that has earnings the week of, usually technical analysis is thrown out the window because this thing moves with volatility. It moves wherever it wants. Okay, until that happens, then I personally will not be trading, but it is squeezing in here. I know a lot of people have these trend lines. But just like I mentioned with Nvidia, the move will probably happen for earnings, and that'll be the breakout and the retest. What you're going to look for is afterwards. You're going to look for the retest or the follow through with continuation, whether up or down. That's what you're going to look for. But I'm assuming that these would be targets for Amazon. So this will be your top target for Amazon, and then this would be your target for the downside for earnings. So on earnings, we can either come down here, and then retest. So you'd be looking for something like this. Let's just say we come down here. You're going to look for the retest of this. And then let's just say we creep up here and we just blow through. You're going to look for the retest of that from the top. Again, potentially come down way down here, but that'll probably be for another week. Other than that, I will not touch Amazon. I mean, unless you got the account for it, by all means trade it. But we kind of, I know we're just gonna have to wait. You have 2 days to trade it, and use the BB system for Amazon. The BB system will give you some good profits for Amazon. Trade the pre-market levels, wait for your 40% or 80% entries, and take it that way, because the contracts are not bad on the IV, but it is expecting a 217 move for this week.
Sure, that's exactly what happened with Netflix as well. I mean, it broke out of that range for the earnings and came back and retested the same level where it broke out.
Yeah, yeah, I had Netflix on the list too. Yeah, same thing. Nathan, you're a smart man.
Thanks, Chef.
um, I was going to talk a little bit about Netflix too, since you brought it up. Yeah, so here you have the retest level, just like what he said. And this candle never continued to keep pushing down. It actually got bought up. So Netflix can be a good play over your 540s. Anything over these candle bodies, I would start looking for some long positions, just for the trend to basically just continue up, or even just hold, like even build something in here, uh, just some candle bodies inside. But over the 540s, these you can use the BB system as well. There's no actual setup on Netflix other than the fact that we did break out for earnings, came down and retested, just like Nathan pointed out. And you can see that the levels even match on the 4 hour. Here's your retest. Here you get bought up, and now you just chill. You guys can follow that trend line as well. Just like I said, it kind of matches with the 540. So over the 540, you can take it long and follow for a retest of like this 552, even 550. Or we just come down here and keep some dip buying levels at the 515, 514. I'm going to set that alert now. Thank you for that.